on assignment in Marysville, California. Hi, it's Susan Isley, and welcome to today's episode of I Travel Nurse TV. Nice to see ya. Today, I'm going to do a review on Rideout Memorial Hospital in Marysville, California, a hospital that I worked at recently through TrueStaff. Now, Rideout Memorial Hospital is a nonprofit hospital located just a little bit northeast of Sacramento. It is somewhat of a rural community in that it takes about 30 minutes to get there from Sacramento, so they consider it rural, but I'll tell you, I've worked in a lot of other places that are a lot more rural than Marysville. Now, Marysville as a city is awfully cute. I know the police there, and their sister city across the bridge is Yuba City. So now the corporation that owns Rideout Memorial Hospital has campuses both in Yuba City, California, across the bridge, and in Marysville, California, and their education center is located in Yuba City. Now, as far as education goes, they have an excellent education department. Their educators are sound, and I got to tell you, in the world of healthcare business, where so many hospitals are cutting costs by decreasing their education department, it was very, very nice to see that they had a very strong education department. But one thing I had trouble with on a personal level is I had trouble getting into renewal classes that I wanted to take. And also trouble getting into courses that I wanted to take, like TNCC and so forth. And mainly that has to do with my manager of the intensive care unit not letting me have the time off. So the trouble is with working there is that the classes are available through the education department, but your manager or the hospital may not let you have the time off for them. So you just have to play that as it goes. Now, like I said, as a hospital, is a nonprofit hospital, which is very, very nice. So that means that they have a lot of extra people and a lot of extra services, such as transport staff and equipment that for-profit hospitals would not have. Now, the only trouble that I had actually working at the hospital was with the staff. Now, TrueStaff has an exclusive contract with the hospital, and apparently they have trouble getting nurses out there. And I'll tell you, I can see why. It has nothing actually to do with the physical building or really even the location or the patient population, but the attitude of the staff towards travel nurses and how they treat you is pretty horrific. Now, I was actually going to stay there at Rideout. I wanted to stay there for other reasons, just mainly because I liked the Marysville Police Department, and they were going to help me on some personal legal issues involving some missing family. However, the staff at the hospital, boy, some of them were just really wicked witches for no reason. And it just was at the point that they were actually affecting my care of my patients. Now, if you know anything about California, they have not only staffing ratios, but they also have state law requirements as far as break periods. And it was getting really bad. I would leave to go on a assigned break, be it a morning break, afternoon break, or even my lunch break. And hospital staff were coming in and interfering with my patient's care. I would come back and there'd be like a chest tube out. There would be a number of other discrepancies that were not occurring when I was actually on the unit. So, and other travel nurses had said that they were not staying after 13 weeks. Now, I do not know why the nurses at the hospital choose to, how should we say, not be so nice to their travel nurses that come in to help them. Because certainly I would have been a person that would have stayed and either worked in the ICU, the CVICU, or even went down to the ER. And, they just don't make you want to stay there at the hospital. And this is why that there is such a turnover in travel nurses and why they have trouble getting people to stay. But from a legal aspect, I would have to say that it would be somewhat of a dangerous situation based on the assignments and some of the tricks that the staff nurses were pulling. And also, they seem to single out certain travel nurses and give them more difficult assignments than they would other travel nurses or sometimes other staff. Now, what they would do a lot of times is that they may give a travel nurse two patients that would need to go out of the ICU. They would be like already have transfer orders, and then give them two fresh ICU patients that may be down in the ER, or maybe give them something in combination between a new fresh ICU patient coming from the ER and then a new patient from the PACU. So now we all know that it's very, very difficult to handle two new patients at once. It throws you into overtime. I mean, you can handle it, but it's very, very likely that even a strong nurse will get off on time based on the amount of charting that is required these days in healthcare facilities. So that is one thing that they were doing deliberately on purpose to a lot of other travel nurses. They were always giving them the admissions, giving them two admissions on one shift, and they were doing it intentionally when they certainly could have split up the assignments and made them more fair. And we've also all heard about the patient from hell, the patient that always has to be rotated, because they're so mentally challenging to the nursing staff. Well, a lot of times the same travel nurses were getting the same patient or patients every single time that they came in, so they were not being appropriately rotated, and that was being done intentionally to cause havoc amongst other travel nurses. They did that to me, and I know they did that to other travel nurses as well too. So as a hospital and as a city and as a location, Rideout Memorial Hospital, Marysville, California, it's very nice from a city aspect. It is a beautiful hospital. They have an excellent cafeteria. But just know, if you go to Rideout, it's very, very likely that they won't be quite, how shall we say, as nice to you as what I think that they possibly should be, and that's why they have such a high turnover. So anyway, that is today's episode of I Travel Nurse TV Hospital Destinations. I'll see you next time.